Sydney's streets are becoming the stage for a dangerous new gang war, and at the center of it all is a group calling themselves G7, teenagers and young men for hire in the city's brutal underworld. Police allege they'll pull the trigger, steal the cars, and run the drugs for whichever crime boss offers the highest price. This isn't fiction, it's real violence, with homes riddled with bullets, kilos of cocaine seized, and heavily armed raids in broad daylight. Police claim that a violent street crew known as G7 has emerged as a dangerous and opportunistic player in Sydney's criminal underworld, operating more like freelance mercenaries than a loyal faction tied to one syndicate. According to investigators, this group, made up of over 30 young men and teenage boys based primarily in the city's southwest, has been willingly hired by both warring sides in a bitter, months-long gang conflict. That feud erupted after a high-ranking member of the notorious Alameddin crime network broke away to form his own competing syndicate, triggering a series of shootings, arsons, and other attacks across the region. Police say G7 has repeatedly accepted contracts from whichever side could offer the biggest payout, showing no real allegiance beyond money and opportunity. One of the most recent arrests linked to the gang involved 21-year-old Blaze Collins, who was taken into custody in Narellan. He now faces charges for participating in a criminal group along with several other serious offenses. Detectives from Task Force Falcon, a specialist unit established in May to contain the escalating violence, believe G7's members have been central to a number of targeted shootings against properties associated with prominent figures in the underworld. Detective Superintendent Jason Box stated that the police allege these crimes were deliberately carried out on behalf of organized crime networks, stressing that there was no evidence the gang had any ideological or territorial loyalty. Instead, he said, they're willing to engage in these acts of violence for whoever is prepared to give them the job. The police investigation has linked the group to some particularly brazen incidents. In March, two boys, just 15 years old and allegedly part of G7, sprayed a Maryland's residence with dozens of bullets in the middle of the night. The home was occupied by a mother and several of her children, and the shots missed them by only a matter of centimeters. Weeks later, the same teenagers allegedly attacked another home in Guilford West, again firing multiple rounds that narrowly avoided hitting the people inside. Both suspects have since been arrested and charged, and they remain before the courts awaiting trial. Authorities also claim that the gang played a critical logistical role in the ongoing feud by supplying as many as 17 stolen vehicles to organized crime groups for use in serious offenses. These cars, often stolen from suburbs all over Sydney, were strategically placed on streets across the city, ready to be used as getaway vehicles in public shootings. Many of them were discovered loaded with jerry cans of fuel, balaclavas, and other equipment, suggesting they were prepared for rapid, violent operations. The origins of the G7 investigation date back to January, when detectives from the Financial Crimes Squad began looking into a network suspected of sourcing and delivering stolen vehicles to underworld groups. As their inquiries progressed, they began to uncover connections between these activities and the gangland war. Task Force Falcon then took over the case, quickly focusing on G7 as a key player in the conflict. Since then, 4 alleged members of the crew have been arrested, but police say their work is far from over, warning that the group's loose-for-hire structure makes them unpredictable and potentially more dangerous than traditional gangs bound by rigid hierarchies. On a Monday morning, authorities moved in on 18-year-old Zane Para, taking him into custody at a correctional center on the mid-north coast. Police allege that despite his young age, Para had been actively engaged in serious criminal conduct, and the list of charges laid against him was long and weighty. He now faces accusations of participating in a criminal group and directly contributing to its illegal operations, as well as possessing an unauthorized firearm and supplying a weapon to someone who was not legally permitted to have it. His arrest marked yet another step in an ongoing crackdown on violent gangs operating in Sydney's underworld. Para was refused bail, meaning he will remain behind bars until his next court appearance, which has been scheduled for August 27th at Campbelltown Local Court. Only 2 days later, on Wednesday morning, detectives and heavily armed officers from the Specialist Raptor Squad staged coordinated raids at multiple addresses, hitting properties in Greystanes and Menai, the latter located in Sydney's south. What they reportedly uncovered was a telling snapshot of the criminal economy. Nearly $30,000 in cash bundled together, more than a kilogram of cocaine ready for distribution, a single-barrel shotgun, 3 shotgun shells, a magazine containing 11 live rounds, 3 spent cartridges, and a staggering total of 14 mobile phones, likely used as disposable burner devices to conduct illicit deals and avoid interception. A few hours after the raids, police intercepted 21-year-old Blaze Collins while he was driving through Narellan. He was immediately taken into custody and transported to Camden Police Station. There, he was charged with participating in a criminal group and contributing to its illegal activities, being in possession of a shortened firearm without proper authority, and driving without a license. Video from the arrest shows a dramatic scene. Multiple officers surrounding Collins' vehicle, pulling him to the ground, and restraining him as a police dog, held back by its handler, stood nearby, ready if needed. Around the same time, in a separate but equally coordinated move, detectives pulled over another suspect, 21-year-old Tyrese Paraku, in Blacktown. He was brought to the local police station and charged with an extensive list of offenses. Alongside participating in a criminal group and contributing to its activities, Paraku is accused of possessing a shortened firearm without authority, supplying a large commercial quantity of a prohibited drug, handling the proceeds of crime valued between $5,000 and $100,000, and committing various other firearms-related offenses. Both Collins and Paraku were refused bail and will face court at dates yet to be confirmed. The wave of arrests didn't stop there. On Thursday, a fourth man was taken into custody and charged with participating in a criminal group, possessing an unauthorized pistol, and driving despite never having held a license. He was issued a court attendance notice and will appear before Burwood Local Court on August 12. According to police, these arrests add to an already growing list of alleged members and associates of the G7 gang who are currently before the courts. 9 others have been charged previously in the same investigation. Detective Superintendent Jason Box expressed concern over the severity of the crimes being linked to such young individuals, some of whom are still in their teenage years. He noted that these were not minor offenses, but high-level criminal activities carried out against equally dangerous individuals, creating a constant risk of violent retaliation. Box cautioned that the gang's younger members needed to grasp the seriousness of what they were involved in, warning that the consequences could be deadly. At the same time, detectives are intensifying efforts to unmask and apprehend the senior underworld figures believed to be commissioning G7 members to act on their behalf. Box emphasized that while the investigation was far from over, progress was being made, and he promised that police would continue dismantling the network piece by piece until those at the very top were in custody.